All right, we're back. For those watching the replay, I tried a different stream on the Wi-Fi here at WeWork, which WeWork normally has awesome Wi-Fi, but for some reason it was getting very bad connection and it was laggy. So back on my phone, back on my 3G service, starting the stream over again. If you're here early, I'm going to repeat myself a little bit because I want it to be good for the replay. So what we're going to talk about today is where I've been, basically, because I haven't put out any videos in the past 5 days. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. You guys are all going to be pouring in. Like I said, if you guys are just coming in now, forgive me. I'm going to repeat myself a little bit just because I had to delete that upload, and I want the people watching the replay to hear what I said too. So for those of you that weren't a part of the first stream, I had a very bad connection, so I switched and started over. So forgive me for the next 2 or 3 minutes. I may repeat myself. Go grab a coffee. Do what you got to do. So where have I been? What I've been doing is I'm launching an app on Monday. So I'm finishing up my contracting work for this current contract, and we're putting the app on the App Store tomorrow. As you guys can imagine, hey Bill, yeah, we're here. As you can imagine, the last days before you launch an app is crazy busy. So that's what I've been doing, 8 to 10 hour days. As you can see here, I'm at my WeWork office. That's what caused the whole Wi-Fi issue. Normally they have amazing Wi-Fi, but I don't know, for some reason, not today. So yeah, I've been here since 7:30 a.m. on a Sunday. It just kind of tells you what my days and weekends have been like getting this app ready to go. And again, I said this before, but forgive me, I'm going to go through the spiel again. So there's the first 90% of an app and then the last 90% of an app. The first 90% of an app feels like the features are complete and good to go, and then there's like the last 90%, which is all the edge cases, the error handling, the bug fixes, and you just, when you feel like you're 90% done and like the app is fully functional, really you're only halfway there, because there's like so much more work to do to go from that last 90% all the way to 100%. And that's pretty much what this week has been. That's why there have been no videos. It's literally been 8 to 10 hours a day, and it's like a client deadline. It's not like, oh, if I miss the deadline, like, oh, well, let me put out a YouTube video. You know, I can't like waste time with anything but getting this good to go for the client. So launching tomorrow. Today will be the last kind of crazy day, and then we'll be back on normal schedule for the videos starting Monday. I'm gonna have a video coming out tomorrow, probably like 20 Xcode tips you may not know if you're beginning. So that'll be coming out tomorrow, and then concurrency and threading, which I know I've been promising you guys. That's coming out right after that. Then basic unit testing. I definitely plan on getting back to normal on the videos this week. And again, it's just because this week was crazy with launching an app. As you guys can imagine, those of you that have launched an app, you know it's pretty crazy leading up to that launch date. So, all right, that's where I've been. And then what else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about some of the new contracts I'm getting. So this contract's finishing up, and then with that company, literally tomorrow, starting the next contract. So sometimes in contracting, you finish a contract, and then you may have like a week or two before you start your next contract, and there's some downtime, which is kind of nice. Like, don't get me wrong, after working all this hard, I would appreciate a couple of days off. But at the same time, downtime as a contractor means you don't get paid, right? It's not like you get 2 weeks paid vacation as a contractor. So I am just going to start right back tomorrow. I mean, the good thing about starting tomorrow is like there's no deadline looming, right? I'm not going to have to be going 8 to 10 hours a day. So be back to normal. And then I should be picking up a second contract. We did a test run last week where I built a feature set for them. I got paid to do it. And then that was kind of like a test. They're going to look at my code. They're going to see if we like working together. And then we're going to have a call either probably Tuesday or Wednesday to basically finalize, like, yes, am I going to move forward with this contract, or no, are we not? I feel good about it. I think we will. So that'll be a second contract. So that'll give me my full 40 hours a week. And then there's the potential of a third contract, which I have to do an estimate on. And I'm going to vlog about this on Wednesday, like kind of going through this estimate, because this contract is going to be project-based. Like normally I work hourly. However, if I take on this third contract, it's going to be like milestone and whole project-based, not hourly. So that kind of means like, okay, when you do the onboard flow and registration, okay, that's one milestone, you get paid for that. Then the next milestone might be this feature, and you get paid for that. It's not hourly. I've never done a contract like that before, so it'll be interesting kind of going through that and estimating that out. So I'm going to be vlogging about that, but I don't even know if I'm going to take that on. I mean, that's a lot. That'll be a third contract. That'll kind of depend on how much of in a rush they are. Like if they want this like, quick, I probably will have to take it, or I'm sorry, not take it. However, if they are cool with, me kind of taking my time with it, then I'll take it on. So I think that one's 50-50 if I'll take it or not. But if I do, that'll be 3 contracts. I'll be very busy over the next couple months, especially with YouTube too. So that's kind of where I'm at. Go ahead and start asking some questions. I'll catch up real quick. I have some other stuff to say, but I want to catch up on all this. Everybody's saying what's up. Decisions YT, what's up? And a lot of these guys I've said what's up to because they were part of the first failed stream. Nathan, good to see you. Bill, Rebecca, how's it going? Mustafa, Thomas, good to see you again. Again, a lot of you guys were from the first stream, and I've already said what's up here. So Nathan says, are you able to disclose the name of the app once it launches? Yeah, sure. However, the app it's not necessarily like a public app. So what it is, it's an app for schools that allow you to pay for like field trips or permission slips and like any event going on at the school. It's a way for parents and guardians to like sign for it and do that. So it's not necessarily like anybody from the public can go and download it. You have to be a member of a school that has signed up on like the web portal. So for example, your local high school would sign up on a web portal, and then all the parents and then they would say to all the parents and guardians, hey, go download this app. So sure, you can download it in the public, but you're not gonna be able to do much with it. You probably can't even get past the login screen, to be honest with you. Hot new music. I've been craving a new video. Yep, they're coming. Like I said, I plan on about 4 or 5 this coming week because I know I'm behind. Sidar says, all right, so I was working on a safety app and I wanted to know how we can send a broadcast custom message to selected contacts directly from the app. So Sidar, any of these like how to do something or custom like coding questions, those are pretty hard to answer on a live stream. Like I would have to look at your code. I would have to know more about your project. I mean, I'm happy to help, go ahead and shoot me an email. But for the live stream, those are very difficult to answer just off the top of my head. Mark says, handle your business. It's been busy. And it's been kind of good. It's been busy because when I was interviewing earlier in the year, and then when I first started the contracting was kind of slow, and I had some downtime in between contracts. So I was like burning through my savings a little bit. Nothing to be in trouble or anything, but it's lower than I want it to be. So having all this work now, it's nice. I'll be able to kind of rebound from that and get back up to the comfortable level of where I am not stressed about it. So it'll be a busy couple months, but I'm happy about it. Mustafa says, would like to share your tips for iPad. That's pretty vague. I'm not sure what kind of tips you're looking for the iPad. What's up, Dilip? Enick says, I'm a full-time contractor too, thinking of making videos like you. Yeah, I recommend it. Kind of documenting your life. A lot of people seem interested in it. How did you transition from the military? What branch? I was in the Navy on submarines. So the transition was, first of all, I got out of the Navy back in 2004. So we're talking 13 years ago. Can't remember, but I don't know, transition was easy. It wasn't a big deal. It's not like, it'd be different if I was in the military for like 20 years and had to like transition to civilian life, but I was still a kid. I only did it for 4 years. It was kind of like going to college. It wasn't a big deal. Mark says, how do you track your time to be paid as a contractor, a time tracking program? So I have a personal time tracking app called Time2, and it's spelled Tyme and then the number 2. It actually costs money. I think it was like $10. But very worth it if you're a contractor. And then, so that's how I track my personal time and track all my projects. So I can kind of look at it at the end of the month, and it gives you like a report at the end of the month on like what you spent your time on. That way I can like kind of judge like, oh man, I'm spending too much time on YouTube and not enough time contracting, which is kind of what it was earlier. So, but however, the company I work for has their own time tracking stuff, and that's how I submit my hours. I believe it's a website called Harvest. But again, they set all that up, and they just kind of basically sent me a link and a login to submit my hours. And then I just invoice them every 2 weeks using another invoicing website, and then they pay me. Reed says, if you were a newer iOS developer, should you charge for the time it takes you to learn to implement a new feature in addition to implementing it? This is a tough call, and honestly, like, if they know that you don't know it, then yeah, like if you're up front. For example, one of my very first contracts was iBeacons, and I told the guy straight up, like, I'm confident I can learn how to do this, but I don't know it at this time. It's going to take some time to learn, and he was perfectly fine with me learning. Maybe because I wasn't charging him much. I think it was like $40 an hour. Again, for Silicon Valley, it's not a lot. So I think he was fine with that. But there's no black and white answer, Reed. There's no concrete answer. It's kind of a judgment call. So even today, there's stuff that if I spent 2 hours like trying to fix a bug and I realized like, oh, I was the dumb one that had a stupid typo, I won't go back and charge. Like I won't count those 2 hours because it was a silly mistake that I should have found, and like I feel horrible charging them for 2 hours worth of work because I couldn't find a typo. So it's kind of a judgment call, and it's very hard to give you an answer. That's just what I do. if I need to learn something, I tell them up front, like, hey, I'm going to have to take time to learn this, and usually they're fine with it. Sankeet says, greetings from India. What's up, Gabriel? How's it going? Nathan, makes sense. Most schools should have that. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's pretty cool. You'll see it in my portfolio coming soon. I got to do all the screenshots and stuff, and I got to update my website. That's a good transition. You guys might have saw on Twitter. I'm looking for a web designer / front-end web developer. So if you are one or know one, let me know. I need to update my website badly. I just don't have the time to do it. As I mentioned, I haven't even had time to put out YouTube videos, let alone try and mess with coding a website, which I'm not very good at. Like, I can do, but it's not good. So if you're a front-end web developer or you know one, definitely let me know. I'm looking to pay somebody for a quick project. It's super simple, but yeah, definitely send some leads my way. I'd appreciate it. Anselmo, sorry if I mispronounced that, but hey, from Angola, Africa, thanks for the videos. No problem, glad you enjoy them. Nathan says, Siddharth, look into OneSignal. Yep, OneSignal is actually what I use for push notifications for this current project. So I actually do have experience with OneSignal, so if you have questions about using that, let me know, because I just implemented it for the first time and it's fresh on my mind. Dilip says, I just completed my Swift 3 and I want to learn where to go now, next steps in order to become an iOS developer. Dilip, just keep building apps. The more apps you build, the better you'll get. And as you build those apps, you'll kind of build up a library of like references. For example, like I just mentioned, I just implemented OneSignal in this project, so I can always go back and reference this code. Like if 2 years from now I have to implement OneSignal again, and I haven't done it in 2 years, I can always go back to this project and reference like how I did it. So the more projects you build, the easier stuff becomes because you start doing it. Hey Ben, what's going on? Good to see you again. Reed says, thoughts on Apple dropping the Shuffle and the Nano? I thought that happened years ago, so I don't know. Wasn't a big deal to me. Any pointers you want to give in terms of dispatch queue versus operation queue? Vandon, actually, that's my concurrency video that I'm putting together today / tomorrow, because that one takes a while because I got to put together some slides to show everything. We're going to be talking about that, so I don't want to give away any spoilers. That, and I haven't fully formulated my thoughts on how I want to say it quite yet, but that video will be coming this week, I promise. I know I've been promising that for a couple weeks now, but now that this launch is over, we're good to go. Visionary says, will you consider making a video about notification? Push notifications, sure, they're always a pain. Like, they always kind of suck to implement because you got to get like certificates, and it's not very straightforward. It is a pain, so I understand why people want a video. However, I've only done it a couple times, and every time I've done it, it's been a pain, and I've had to like look up a lot. So I don't know if I feel comfortable like putting a tutorial video. Plus, there's a lot of different ways to go. Like we mentioned, OneSignal is a way, and there's a lot of other companies that do push notifications too, and they're all a little different. So that would be a tough video to make. Enoch says, me too, end up on YouTube more than Xcode. Yeah, that's what happened earlier. I mean, except for this past week, obviously I've been Xcode a lot more, but as you guys know, when I was pumping out 4 and 5 videos a day, I was kind of putting off my contracting work. And this is a good story. I was kind of putting off my contracting work because I was making so many YouTube videos. But as you guys saw this past week, I was kind of paying for it because this week was just 8 to 10 hours a day, every day. Had I like balanced YouTube and contracting a little better in the previous weeks, maybe this week wouldn't have been so hectic. So it's a good lesson on time management there. But yeah, YouTube's fun. It's hard to get away from. So yeah, don't get me wrong, even though I haven't put out a video in a week, I'm not bored with it or anything like that. Mustafa says, I was in Naval High School in Turkey. Transition was kind of hard for me at that age. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's any different between countries, but I don't know. My transition was pretty easy. Sankit said, I had to drop out because I cannot afford to pay for college. Will I be able to get a job without a degree in the U.S.? I'm from India. I mean, obviously a degree helps. It's definitely not impossible to get a job without a degree. Really, if you can show that you can code, you can build the apps, you have a good portfolio, and then when you go to interview, you can answer all their questions and show that you can code, they'll hire you. Like for example, my degrees in economics and finance have helped me zero in coding pretty much. So really, my degrees are basically worthless. So unless you have a degree in computer science, yeah, I think you'll be fine. I'm not saying you'll be fine with that one, but it's very possible if you work hard and show that you can do it. Hot New Music says, are you only proficient in Swift? Any other language? Yeah, just Swift for now. I've only been doing this for a little over 2 years, and I've just been focused on that because, I can do a little HTML, CSS, but that's pretty basic. That's not even really coding, in my opinion. It's just like scripting. But sorry to those front-end developers. I don't mean to insult, but it is two totally different things. You know, a programming language versus HTML and CSS. Now, if you start doing the JavaScript stuff, you know, that's a little different. But yeah, my focus was to get really, really good at Swift rather than spending all my time learning 5 different languages and only being kind of good at, you know, a few. David says, hello from Israel. What's up? Enoch says, I can make a WordPress site for you. I already have the site. It's already done. I just need updates to it. It's SeanAllen.co for those that are front-end web developers that might be here. You can check it out. You can do inspect element and see my crappy code. But yeah, the site's already built. I just need updates to it, like updates to my portfolio. I want to add a certain page. So I wouldn't be building a site from scratch. Can we see more UI design videos on the channel, which are more project-based, where we can play with core animation and core graphics? Yeah, sure. I have a couple on my to-do list with more complex UI. Greggy says, what's up from Virginia? What's going on, Greggy? Good to see you again. Ben says, I would do it, but I'm rushed and jammed up for the next few months. That's a good problem to have, Ben. I appreciate it. Well, I don't know why I said I appreciate it, but I appreciate the potential offer. But I'm glad to hear you're busy with work. That's good. Bill says, do you use a lot of third-party frameworks? Not really. I mean, Alamo Fire for networking, that's pretty much in 100% of my projects. And then SV Progress HUD I use a lot, which is just another activity indicator. Other than that, it really depends on the project, but I try to avoid them, only because you're depending on other people's code. However, some of them are very good and well worth putting in your project. So yeah, I don't go just crazy in importing 30 third-party network or libraries. That's definitely not the case. Could you give a brief description on what OneSignal is basically, and how does it work, and how can we implement it in our app? To be honest with you, I didn't set it up. Our back-end web dev guy set it up, and I basically just implemented it into the app. But it's basically a third-party website you go to where you can send people push notifications. And then as far as like the iOS app goes, you have to basically install their SDK and then do a bunch of setup in the app delegate, to register for push notifications. And then you got to get like I said, a certificate from APNS certificate from Apple. It's a whole long progress. I don't have it memorized by any means. So Nathan says, yeah, push notifications is mainly dry setup with not much action. Yeah. Any advice for front-end/node developer looking to dive into iOS and Swift? Yeah, just do it. If you have some kind of coding background and you already have kind of a head start, like I said, I jumped into it with nothing. So yeah, just dive in and start doing it, really. Philip says, Sean, what do you use for backend? All the projects I work on, and maybe I'm lucky, like I don't have to mess with Firebase or anything like that. I usually work with a full-time like backend web developer, and he builds the custom backend with the API, and I basically just consume the API, and then I'll talk with him to let him know what endpoints I need and what information I need from the endpoints. But for the most part, he builds the API, and I just consume it. Alonso says, hello from Spain, love the videos, keep them coming. Will do, they're on their way. Mark says, why not URL session? So basically, why don't I do network calls natively versus Alamo Fire? Habit. I mean, I'm not saying natively is bad, just I got in the habit of using Alamo Fire, and I'm quick with it, and I know it pretty quick. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you have to use Alamo Fire. That's the only thing you can use. It's just what I use and what I know, and I'm the most efficient with. Hot Music says, Macs are expensive. Anyway, I can code on Xcode and Swift with Windows. I'm sure there's some hacky way to do it. I don't know. I've always had a Mac. Maybe people can help out in the comments here. But I've never tried to like run Mac stuff on Windows, so I have no experience with that. Ben says +1 for Alamo Fire, then +1 for URL session. We're gonna have a war here. What are the top 5 things I should check before submitting my app to the App Store? That depends on the project. You just want to make sure there's no like stupid crashes, really, and just make sure the user experience is great. I don't know, it's like it's hard to say generally. Like it really all depends on the project. All right, I'm caught up on comments. I'm going to get back to my list here. A couple things I wanted to talk about. So keep asking. I'll catch up again. Let me go through my notes here. Yeah, so the mentoring update. So just to give you guys an idea what mentoring is, I do sell one-on-one mentoring sessions. basically they're 1 hour sessions. I do about an hour of prep work before, and then that way when we talk for an hour, I'm not trying to figure things out. It's just 1 hour of getting stuff done, and we'll either help you learn Swift from scratch, or if you're working on a current project, I'll dive into that code base for you, or if you want me to give you projects to work on that'll kind of help build your basic skills, we can do that. Again, this is a paid service. I do have 2 openings now. 2 students have finished up their 3 sessions. I only take on 5 students at a time. That's just because that's all I have time for, and I want to be able to give you guys my full attention that are my students at the time. So again, 2 students have finished up. So I have 2 openings now. If you're interested, hit me up on email or DM me. I want to talk about the Patreon community. I started the Slack channel only for the patron community, and the reason that is not because I want it to be an exclusive club. It's because if I open up a public Slack channel to everybody, there's going to be hundreds of people in there, and the conversation is just gets out of hand. However, I was very impressed with the Slack community right now. There's only a handful of people in there, but I was kind of expecting that I was going to have to answer all the questions and I was going to have to do everything. So if you're in the live stream now and you're in that Slack community, I want to say thank you. You guys have been awesome. You guys have all been helping each other out. Because I've been so busy, I haven't had time to get in there and interact, but I kind of read it and follow along. And they're in there meeting each other, helping each other out with projects, reviewing each other's code, discussing what they should do. I was very impressed and very happy, and kind of my expectations were exceeded with that Slack channel. So if you're interested in joining that Slack community, go ahead and check out patreon.com/Sean Allen. Not only the Slack community there, but you can get access to my video list and what I'm creating next. You can vote on the upcoming video for the week. I'm trying to build a tight-knit community around my content and give you guys value at the Patreon community. So again, it's just patreon.com/Sean Allen. And I think that's, the channel update, back to the videos. Because I am now full-time 2, maybe 3 contracts, my video schedule is going to go down to 3 videos a week. Again, well, this week was no videos. But prior to that, I was putting out 4 to 5 videos a week. That's just unsustainable with 3 contracts. So just to give you guys a heads up on what to expect, it will probably be about 3 videos per week going forward, which is still a good amount. I can only do so much. All right, I think I'm caught up on my... Oh yeah, so the Patreon videos that are coming up this week, I think I kind of mentioned this already. 20 Xcode tips, things you may not know using Xcode if you're just beginning. Concurrency and threading, which I've been promising for a while. And then basic unit testing. So those are the 3 that are coming this week. And then after that, I'll go kind of back to my schedule. Really, those 3 are what the patron community has voted on over the past 3 weeks. And I basically have been neglecting them, because I've been so busy. So I got to get caught up on those patron voted videos, and then I'll kind of be back to, and I'm going to throw a vlog in there too, because I'm going to vlog my day Wednesday, because it's a pretty interesting day with the contracting stuff going on. So that's kind of what to expect. That's all I have to talk about, so I'm going to go back and catch up on questions. So if you have questions, fire away. Francisco says, do you usually quote your projects, or are you given a budget and take it or leave it? Yeah, Francisco, I touched on this a little bit before. Normally, it's just an hourly rate, and then I quote a certain number of hours. Actually, when I do a contract with a company I work for, they figure all that out, right? They'll work with a client, and they'll basically say, yes, the iOS app is going to take 200 hours, whatever. And then they basically come to me and said, all right, we quoted 200 hours. And they kind of know my abilities. I've been working with them for 6 months now. So they basically quoted 200 hours, and they know my rate. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I know that I have 200 hours to build this project, and that's usually more than enough. But what I was talking about, that's when I work with a company. The contracts that I'm working with that I could potentially get aren't with a company. Those are kind of like with individuals. Well, they're like, one's a startup. When I say individuals, it's not like a development agency. It's just like a one-off project. So like I mentioned before, this one is going to be project-based. And it's going to be, I'm not going to get paid hourly. I'm going to get paid based on milestones. And I've never done a project like that. So remember I said Wednesday's vlog is going to be interesting? Well, that's the day I'm going to estimate that out. So I'm going to kind of walk through how I did that. And that'll be in the vlog. I'm going to film it Wednesday, so it'll probably be released Thursday. So yeah, so that'll be interesting. Where do you think Kyrie and Carmelo will end up the season? I want Kyrie to go to the Timberwolves. Like I said, I want the West to just be ridiculously overpowered. That way, like every night is like an awesome game to watch. All right, Samir says, hi, Sean. Are you planning to make core data videos? Thanks. Not really, to be honest with you. I don't use core data. A lot of the people I talk to in companies don't use core data. It feels like not a lot of people use it, at least just in Silicon Valley. And there are companies that use it. Don't take that the wrong way and say, well, Sean says nobody uses core data. No. It's just few and far between nowadays people use core data. So, and I've never used it because none of the projects I've worked on, I've probably built 5 to 6 like production level apps. None of them have used core data. So I don't use it enough to really give a tutorial on it. And like I said, I don't know that it's important enough to warrant me putting all the hours it takes to learn core data and then present that into a tutorial. So probably not, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Vondon says, I already have an app on the App Store. I want to create a new one. What's the best place to look for ideas and inspiration? That's tough because my app ideas, like I don't go like searching for them. They all just kind of like hit me. And hey, Rebecca, I just saw that you joined the Patreon community. If you're in here, appreciate that. I'll get that Slack invite out to you here after the live stream. But it says, I already have an App Store. Oh yeah, so my ideas just kind of come to me, and I keep a list of them. The way I feel like it, if you have to go out and search for an idea, you're probably not going to pursue it, and you're probably not super passionate about it. It's usually those ideas that hit you, and then when you like can't stop thinking about it, that's the idea that you should follow through with. Because as you guys know, app development isn't easy. It's long. It's hard work. You have to be passionate about what you're working on in order to get through those tough times. Like if you don't really care about what you're working on, it's going to be tough to get through the hard times. Northeast Dashcam says, hi, what's up? I've been interacting with you in the comments a little bit. Good to see you here. Yep, people said 3 videos a week is more than enough. Ryan West, good morning. What's going on? NS Hippie says, what are your thoughts on the future of native development? Is it going to be replaced by something like React Native? I say no. I mean, I feel like this question comes up every live stream, and it's like a holy war. I did a live stream like 3 or 4 live streams ago where that was like the main topic, and it's actually in the title if you want to go back to my channel and look for the live streams. It's like Swift versus React Native. In the comments, there's some good discussions from actual React Native developers too, so I would go back and check that out. I don't think, there's all kinds of like blog posts like native development is dead. Like, no, get out of here. Like if you want to scale and you want to do it right, and by scale I mean like millions and millions of users, like like Facebook and Instagram aren't going to go full-blown React Native even though they built it. Yes, Facebook and Instagram have some screens that are React Native that are shared, but the core and the bulk of the app is native. Long story short, if you're going to scale and have a huge app and want to do it right, like do it native. However, if you're a small startup and you're just going to have a small product, then sure, go React Native, save some money. I don't want to act like I'm hating on React Native. I just think native development's not dead. Native development's not going anywhere. Ryan West says, I've watched a lot of your videos so far, and I have a quick question. First, why did you choose iOS developer versus overall software engineer? Do you feel limited with job searches? No, I mean, I'm lucky. Like I'm in Silicon Valley. There's no shortage of app development jobs at all. In fact, they're begging for like good app developers. So other markets may not be so much. Maybe being an overall software engineer is better, but basically I'm an Apple fanboy. I knew I wanted to develop mobile, and I'm an Apple fanboy, so that's why I'm an iOS developer. So it was a pretty easy decision. Francisco says, is 200 hours usual average time for an app? I mean, as you know, apps can range wildly in their functionality and what they do. I would say 200 hours for a standard app is probably about right. Now, if you start to get, like I said, it all depends on the features and what you're trying to do. If you're building an AR app right now, it's probably going to take longer than that. But you know what I'm saying. If you're building like a standard app with like table views, maybe some photos or something, 200 hours is probably enough, but it all depends on what you're doing. Hot New Music says, should I go to the Marines and then pursue my software engineer career? I mean, I don't know you. that's a personal life choice. I don't know. I do know going into the military paid for my college. Like when I went to school after the military, I got paid to go back to school. So I didn't go into debt to go get my degrees. And not only did I not go into debt, but I actually made money. Like they give you like a living allowance on the Montgomery GI Bill. So I was making, okay money to go to school. So it's a great deal. So if money's an issue, then yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Get them to pay for college and then pursue a CS degree. Mark says, so what do you use for persistence? Realm? No, well, I mean, Realm is another good option to court data. Got another Patreon. Thanks, Nathan. Appreciate that. I'll get that Slack invite out soon. So, okay, so persistence in my projects, like I said, we have a custom backend. So a lot of the stuff I just send up to the server and they store it on the server. If anything does need to be saved onto the device specifically, which is, I don't think I actually use, I will use user defaults for that, only if it's small stuff like strings or ints or like Boolean values for like preferences or something. But for the most part, I just send it up to the server to save there. That way, no matter what device they log onto, they have their information. You know, if they have a iPad and an iPhone, you know, I'm not saving stuff just to the iPhone. Von, what's the best way to have offline access to the data? I mean, Core Data allows offline access, but what's the best alternative to Core Data? Offline access is the key here. Honestly, Von, I don't have experience with that. None of the apps that I've worked on, I mean, I understand the importance of not being connected to the network if you're, you know, in a crappy cell service or you're on a subway. Like, I understand that's very important to tackle. However, none of the projects I've worked on have actually made that a focus. So I don't have a ton of experience with dealing with offline persistence. So sorry about that. Hi, Sean. Should I use Firebase for a database, or what is a better option? I don't have any experience with Firebase. Like I've mentioned, I always use custom backends. So I'm lucky that I typically work with a full-time backend web developer, so he handles all that. So unfortunately, I don't have great advice there. Like I said, I consider myself lucky to get to deal with that all the time, because that is the much better way to go. You know, when you can actually customize everything the way you need it and have somebody build it for you. Ryan West says, thanks for the response. Last question. How important are algorithms, data structures, and app development? In actual app development, not very. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's great core knowledge to have for CS, you know, CS stuff. But, sorry, I lost where the thing was. Yeah. However, you know, getting a job, getting interviews, you are going to have to know that. Basically, every interview but every interview is going to deal with that pretty much in some way. So it is definitely important into getting a job. Helen says, talking about huge apps, we must consider they're more flexible and powerful technology rather than some platform-based. So C++, Objective-C is more actual for them rather than Swift. Okay, yeah, so that is a +1 for native development on huge apps, and I agree. Brandon Tyler, how nervous were you for your first iOS interview? What missteps did you take, and what did you excel in? What happened in the interview that you weren't expecting? Okay, so that's like 7 questions, but we'll dissect it there. I was pretty nervous because I was just coming out of boot camp and I knew I didn't really know much. And I've said that before. Like, I don't think a boot camp, if you do a boot camp and come out of it, you're like a software developer. Like, no, you've taken your very first baby step into software development. So I was nervous, but so here, I've told the story before. I'll give a quick 30 seconds on how it happened. So that first interview was a phone. Well, I did a couple like, you know, recruiter call type things, but the first like technical interview was a phone screen. I did horrible on it. However, after I did horrible on it, I emailed them and said, hey, send me a take-home project. I'll do that project this weekend, and, you know, then you can see my code and, you know, judge me off that. And they were open to the idea. They liked the initiative I took. So I basically crushed that project over the weekend, and they loved it and basically emailed me the instant I emailed them the project, like 20 minutes later, and says, yes, come in for a final interview. We want to talk to you. So I went into that interview with confidence, knowing that actually probably too much confidence, because the actual story is I went into that interview thinking, because he's like, yeah, come down, meet the team. Usually, and by that I thought, you're hired, just meet the team to make sure, you know, you get along with everybody. So I thought it was going to be like a culture fit interview. So I didn't prepare at all. I walked in there just being myself, like, cool, I'll just meet all these guys. I'm a pretty cool guy. However, I didn't know I was walking into like a whiteboarding technical interview, so I was unprepared. That didn't go well, but like I said, the project I sent was enough. Like I was already hired before I walked in the door, I was kind of right. So I wasn't really nervous, but it was a weird circumstance. And I think I'll do a video on that story, because I kind of just skimmed over a lot of the details there. But I think it's an interesting story to do like a full video on. What tips do you have for improving UI design? Go to sites like Dribbble or Behance and just get inspiration for what they're doing there. Everybody there just posts design. I skim that site all the time and always are like, you know, saving images from that site just as like inspiration. I don't like flat out copy what they do, but I may be like, oh, I like how they did this one in this design and then this part in this design, and kind of like piece that all together to, you know, make my own thing. Layout code and storyboard Zib, what is better? So this one comes up every live stream too. I'm team storyboard. What is better? is personal preference, in my opinion. There are pros and cons to both of them. Like storyboards, that's what I prefer, but there's certainly the downsides of storyboards. Coding, I don't prefer that because I think I don't like looking at a file full of code. Like anything with 500 lines of code, I don't really like. So that's why I like doing a lot of stuff in storyboards, because for me it declutters my code files. But again, there's pros and cons to both. It's personal preference. If you ask that question, to a bunch of people, you're going to get a ton of different answers. So my advice to you would be to try out both and then make your own decision. How much time do you spend in WeWork? How was experience with a small laptop at WeWork, missing the big screen? So yes, I do miss the big screen. However, I am getting very good at like flying around on my laptop. Keyboard shortcuts. Command tabbing between programs, minimizing screens, all keyboard shortcuts. So it's kind of cool. Like I was never really good at that, but now I'm getting good at that, and it's not so bad anymore. However, it is such a luxury when I do get home and decide to do a little bit of work from home. Having that huge screen. However, the productivity increase I got from because when I come to WeWork, I'm in like work mode. That has helped a ton, because when I'm at home, I'm easily distracted. Because like I said, I live in a small studio apartment, so I'm basically working out of my bedroom. So it's easy to get distracted by the TV or doing something on YouTube. Whereas when I'm here at WeWork, I'm here to work. Helen says, Sean, have you ever thought of diving more into fundamental domains such as compilers, binaries, tool chains on a full-time demand? As of right now, no. I would love to learn that stuff because that's kind of like how everything works. However, at this point in my career, again, I've only been doing this 2 years. I still feel like I have a lot more to learn in Swift and iOS development, but I would like to branch out and learn some of that stuff. Mark says Firebase is awesome. I mean, I hear good things about Firebase. I've just never used it. But it is good, like you said, for an individual developer that doesn't have the back end help, But it is, like Yoel says, it can be expensive. It doesn't really scale well. That's the thing. If you are on Firebase and for some reason your app does blow up and goes viral and gets a ton of downloads, it's not going to scale very well price-wise. You're going to be paying for that. Ben says, the app I'm building has to work offline, so core data was a must for me. So then it has to sync up after a button is pressed. But generally, I agree, direct access to the server is easier. Yeah, and anything in software, there's no like absolute answer. Like in software, you have a ton of tools. You have this giant toolbox, and then you have to pick what tools are best for your specific project. So me giving like general blanket advice is tough because your project is very specific to what you need to do. So use the right tool for the right job is really the answer to any software question, to be honest with you. Wait, I'm relatively new to iOS development. What is Firebase? Database framework? I'm sure people are going to answer this here as I scroll down. Firebase is a serverless backend. Yep. Okay. If you have an iPad, get to the Duet app. Yes, I've heard of that. I haven't tried it yet. I'll probably give that a shot. Like I said, that was from Mark, the Duet app. Basically what the Duet app does is it makes your iPad a second screen to your MacBook. So I'm going to give that a try. I like that suggestion. We use some full functional project tutorial. That is on the way. I'm going to do a course, but I'm so busy, 3 contracts. And as you can imagine, building an entire project, I basically have to build an entire app and then teach it. So building the app takes time. Building the course around the app takes time. So I do plan on doing that. I do want to do that, but it's just there's not enough time for me to do that at this moment. When I get some downtime, I'll probably take a look at that. All right, guys, I'm going to catch up on questions, go for about 5 more minutes. So if you have any last-minute questions, feel free to dive in. And I'll get to these questions and then probably take off. Got to get back to work. Got an app to launch. Is no one using Parse Server anymore? I still love it. I used Parse before it got shut down, but I haven't messed with it since. So that's a good question. I'd like to hear if anybody still is. Yoel says, I have moved to no storyboard, and I can definitely say my understanding of iOS has skyrocketed. You all should try it. I agree. Like, I think you should try both and then pick which one you like best. And Yoel is right. You probably will learn more from the code. But I think once you've learned those basics on how things work, then maybe try storyboard again. And it's really just a personal preference, which one you like best. But yes, you will learn more in code, but it is also a steeper learning curve, in my opinion. So if you're up for that learning challenge, absolutely. Last question, do iOS developers need to know Swift and Objective-C? I barely know Objective-C, and that's just being, completely honest. I learned Objective-C in the boot camp, and then out of the boot camp I went to, I got a job pretty much right away and have been writing Swift full-time ever since. So, however, me not having great experience in Objective-C has cost me some opportunities. For example, like when you're interviewing at these older companies that have Objective-C, full-blown Objective-C code base, me coming in saying, yeah, I know Swift, but not much Objective-C, that hurts me in the interview process. So it has restricted my opportunities. However, I'm fine with that, and I knew that was going to happen when I started learning Swift. Like I knew by me like just giving up on Objective-C and going 100% Swift, I knew I was going to miss out on some of those old opportunities, but my opinion is it's going to pay off in the long run because Swift is Apple's future. It's clearly where Apple's going. Basically, if somebody were to right now, so obviously the next big companies are being created, today or last year, and those companies are, most likely going to be started in Swift for iOS if they go that route. So they're not like somebody building an app today is not going to write it in Objective-C most likely, unless they're like a professional Objective-C developer and don't know anything about Swift. So going forward, me missing out on those Objective-C opportunities is going to get smaller and smaller, and then the Swift market is getting bigger and bigger. So that is why I went basically all in on Swift, basically planning for that and betting on that to happen. So a couple more questions here. All right, thanks guys, appreciate you guys showing up. Again, more videos coming out. The videos are Xcode tips, basic unit testing, concurrency and threading, and then I'm gonna do a vlog about my contracts and kind of how I'm estimating this one current contract and kind of how I'm settling into a schedule now that I'm not in like launch mode, I'm back to a normal schedule. So yeah, hot news, you're gonna see a video tomorrow. So, all right, see you guys.